I want to talk about some of the recent events and some of the recent price points that we've been reaching with marijuana stocks. And there has been a good amount of stuff happening recently, but at the same time, not a lot has changed with marijuana stocks. So they have gone up over the past months quite a bit, but quite the opposite has actually happened than what I thought would have happened. So originally, I thought that when California was going to legalize marijuana, when it was going to actually release the licenses that allowed businesses to sell recreational marijuana, I thought that the Californian and the US marijuana stocks were going to go up more than the Canadian marijuana stocks. But the opposite has happened. US and Californian companies have gone up, but not nearly as much as the Canadian companies. So what I think is happening, and at least partially driving up this price, is that there's a lot of uncertainty around the Californian and the US marijuana stocks. So a lot of people are interested in investing into marijuana companies because it's new, it's risky, it has the potential to give you a lot of returns or a good amount of returns. And people are hearing about this on the news and they're looking into some of the stocks and they're looking into the Californian and the US stocks, but it's very quickly becoming apparent to them that there's a lot of uncertainty regarding the US marijuana policy. So Sessions is going after some of the marijuana policy right now, and there's a lot of uncertainty whether or not the federal government will actually pursue marijuana or whether or not they will leave them alone. There's some uncertainty whether or not the businesses will be able to continue to operate, whether or not they will take a hit from some of the federal policy that will take. There's a lot of uncertainty, and it's very quickly becoming clear to people that a much safer option is the Canadian marijuana stock because the Canadian marijuana stocks are more developed, they're bigger, they have the ability to work with international companies and provide marijuana internationally, they're taxed less, and they have a lot more support from millionaires and billionaires. So because of that, people are simply, instead of investing into the Californian stocks or the US stocks, people are just going in and investing into companies like Canopy Growth, which is driving up their price quite a bit when not really much has changed. Like over the past few months, some stuff has changed, but there hasn't been any significant news other than the California and the US stuff. So that's that. And I think at least that's partially driving up their price. And another thing that I think is occurring right now is the fundamentals of these companies are becoming less and less relevant for people that are investing into them. And I think that a similar situation is taking place as it is currently happening with the tech industry. So tech has been outperforming the stock market a lot over the past few years. And a lot of the tech companies are fairly overvalued if you look at them purely on a fundamental analysis. So if you look at a company like Tesla, it's worth $53 billion. Tesla, fundamentally, from a fundamental analysis point of view, Tesla should not be worth $53 billion. I mean, they're not meeting the goals that they're supposed to be meeting. Tesla was supposed to build 20,000 Model 3 vehicles by December of 2017. They only got 1,550. They're going to be experiencing more and more competition in the future. Their cars are not really that special. They're pretty good cars, I think, but they're not. Their competitors are going to be having cars that could compete with Tesla quite soon. So Tesla should not be worth 53 billion, but because it's backed by millionaires and billionaires, and because a lot of people like and believe in the idea of Tesla, they like Elon Musk a lot, there's a lot of support behind Tesla, and Tesla will likely continue going up at least for the next year, probably longer than that. So a lot of people are investing into these companies based on largely the idea behind them, and I think that a similar thing will happen behind the marijuana companies. So right now, there's a lot of the people that hold power right now, the people that have a lot of money are primarily, like especially in the tech industry, it's primarily leftists or social justice warriors, whatever you want to call them. So not so much Tesla, but Facebook, Snapchat, Twitter, what else? Google, all of these different companies are run primarily by leftists, people who are on the political left, kind of the social justice warriors, the politically correct people, and those people have a lot of money right now. They have a lot of money and they have a lot of power. And those people, if they like a company, they're going to back it and they're going to invest in it. Those people are very ideological. So if they like idea behind something, they're going to support it regardless of whether or not it makes a lot of sense, regardless of whether or not it might be, on the shaky side of a sound investment, let's say. So a lot of these people, a lot of leftists, a lot of social justice warriors, they're in support for legalizing marijuana. and they would be interested behind the idea of investing into that. And I think that a lot more millionaires and billionaires are going to be, I think that already they're investing into these companies, but I think that over time more and more people are going to pour money into these companies, and that will continue driving up their price quite a lot. And you could say that Canopy Growth, Aurora, aphria, you could say that they're overpriced currently, but people have been saying that these companies were overpriced at like $13 a year ago. People were saying that these companies are overpriced at $20, and now people are saying that they're overpriced at $34. And the reality is that there's a lot of money out there. A lot of people are looking for risky investments, and people are interested in investing into these companies. People are interested, especially the social justice warriors and leftists that have a lot of money. They're interested in the idea behind this, and they're willing to support the idea regardless of whether or not it makes a good investment. And recently we have been seeing a lot of institutional sell-offs, which is quite interesting. A lot of institutions have been selling off some of their holdings because these companies have been going so much, and the institutions, including me, I never expected Canopy Growth to be anywhere close to $34 by the end of the year, even more than that, almost $36 at a certain point. And a lot of institutions and a lot of insiders did not expect these companies to be hitting these sorts of price points, which is why a good amount of them are selling right now, or at least lowering their positions. And regardless, these companies are continuing to go up, and I think that they will. So hopefully that makes sense. That's the situation that we're currently in. We're seeing some of these companies like Namaste Technologies, are up 1,700% over the past not even 3 months, over 1,700% depending on where you look from. So there's a lot of money being thrown into these companies, it's safe to say. And if you follow the Weed Stocks Reddit, there have been a good amount of fundamental analyses posted of these companies. And if you compare these companies, some of the marijuana companies, to, for example, this post compared them to the U.S. pharmaceutical companies, they're not that overpriced. They wouldn't need that much revenue to actually be on the same level as some of the U.S. pharmaceutical companies. I don't think that comparing them to pharmaceutical companies is quite the same as. I don't think that it's a very good comparison, but I think that people will find ways to justify the evaluation of these companies regardless of what they are priced. And I don't think that these companies will fall back significantly anytime soon, because there's just so much money backing them. There's so much happening in the future. And the people that have power, the people that have money, they're interested in backing the idea behind these companies. And I don't think that they're going to fall anytime soon. So people were asking me at like the $20 point whether or not I thought that these companies were still a good buy. I was kind of on the fence about it. Like, I wasn't sure whether or not they were going to go up. I thought that they would fall a little bit more here, but nope, they shot back up even more, and they keep on going up. So if you invested into these companies at this point, I honestly don't know whether or not it's a good idea anymore. The amount of money that's behind these companies is ridiculous, and the amount of money that's going to be poured into these companies in the future is also going to be ridiculous. Just simply knowing that the people in power, a lot of the people in the tech industries, do support marijuana quite a bit, and that they are willing to invest into it. I mean, there's definitely ridiculous potential. You could be seeing, Tesla levels of overpricing when it comes to some of these marijuana companies. And even though marijuana is not exactly tech, it doesn't have the same potential as tech, it does have a lot of leeway in terms of its price evaluation, because if you take a look at the medical side of marijuana, there's definitely, if you're going to be making estimates about the medical aspects of marijuana, there's definitely a massive amount of leeway that you could take there. If marijuana proves that it is very effective compared to things like opioids and painkillers and stuff like that, it can definitely become a massive industry, and that plus recreational can definitely send these companies to much higher valuations than they're currently right now. And these companies, and let's get this straight, 10 years from now, not all of these companies are going to be successful. Some of these companies will fail. It's unlikely that the bigger companies will fail, because people are willing to back them up so much that they're going to have all the capital that they need to invest and grow and expand and do all of that stuff. The smaller companies might fail, so if you want to invest money into these companies and leave it for years, you probably will be fine, although it will take quite a while for them to actually catch up to these evaluations, but they still have massive potential to grow. And even though they're growing more or less exponentially recently, they have been growing more or less exponentially recently, I see no reason why they wouldn't grow. And it's quite a shame that I was wrong. It's quite a shame that I didn't think that they would be able to get to these price points, because if I did, I mean, imagine if you bought options on Canopy Growth. Like, imagine if you took all of your money and bought options, like long-term options for Canopy Growth. You could have made a ridiculous amount of money. It's unreal how much money you could have made from some of these companies if you invested a few months ago and bought options. So yeah, that's pretty much what I have to say. Definitely very, very interesting times right now for marijuana stocks, and I think that in the future they will get even more interested in this. So hopefully this was helpful. Hopefully this was at least somewhat insightful. Let me know what you guys think, and I'm not going to be making too much videos about these companies because really there's not really that much to say. I mean, they're going up. Not really that much is changing right now in terms of where their developments are. They're continuing to expand. They're establishing partnerships and stuff like that, but the prices are going up because a lot of people are willing to invest into them. So let me know what you think, and that's it.